Hi, my name is Eli Dunn. I'm the chef at the Beehive Cafe in Bristol, Rhode Island, and today we're going to make potato flatbreads. A couple things about this dough. The first thing is that it takes 2 days to make, and the second thing, before you make this recipe, you want to make sure that you have everything you need at room temperature. First, I'm going to add some bread flour, some good quality bread flour, into my KitchenAid mixer here with a paddle attachment. Okay, so the first three ingredients that you're going to add are your bread flour, sugar, and yeast. Okay, so we're just going to mix this on low speed for a minute. Okay, so you just mix the flour, sugar, and yeast for about a minute on low speed. Turn it off. Now this is really important. You don't want to add the salt and the yeast directly at the same time. Salt kills yeast. So make sure that you mix the yeast, the sugar, flour mixture really well so the yeast is incorporated into the flour. Then you add your salt, kosher salt. Turn it on for just about another minute, just to incorporate the salt. Now you're going to add mashed potatoes and softened butter. I have here a potato ricer. These are some cooked potatoes that haven't been mashed yet. You could just mash these. You could even use mashed potatoes left over from the night before. If there's a little butter in them already, that's okay. This is a really versatile dough. It's easy to make. I use a potato ricer because I like the way it gives the potatoes a nice texture, makes them really light and fluffy. So these are just potatoes that have been cooked in water. Okay, set that aside. Okay, so I'm going to add these right into the mixer. And I'm going to add unsalted butter. Okay, I'm going to turn the mixer on, low speed, and you're going to mix for about 5 minutes. You really want to break up the butter and the potatoes till the mixture resembles coarse meal. Little tiny bits of butter and potato. You don't want any large chunks in there. Okay, we've mixed this mixture for about 5 minutes. The butter and the potatoes are now really broken up. The mixture resembles coarse meal. I'm going to turn this mixer off. And now we're ready to add potato water and the egg. Now this is water that's reserved from the cooking of the potatoes. If you are using leftover mashed potatoes and you don't have water from the potatoes, that's fine. You could just use room temperature water. This just adds a nice potato flavor. You really want to make sure that this cools. If you are cooking the potatoes while you're doing this recipe or beforehand, you want to make sure this cools to room temperature. We also have a room temperature egg here. I'm just going to combine these into one container and dump this right into the mixer. And you're going to mix this just until the dry bits are incorporated. You don't want to overmix. You just want to mix it until it's all incorporated and there isn't any flour in the bottom of the bowl. Now you're going to transfer this mixture to a greased bowl or a plastic container, Tupperware container, whatever you have. And this mixture is going to sit out for an hour at room temperature and then be refrigerated overnight. Okay, here we are, day 2 of the potato dough. So I have my potato dough. It's risen overnight. I'm going to take a little bread flour, use the same flour that you used to make the dough, sprinkle it onto the counter or cutting board, whatever you have. And I'm going to turn the dough out right onto the counter. Now, we're going to make, this makes 12 4-ounce rolls. If you don't have a scale, you could just eye it. I'm just going to make 6 right now. So I'm just going to cut this in half. And then, this is sort of a trick. If you form it into a rectangle, you can take your knife, cut it in half again the long way, and then cut each of these into 3s. Okay. You set those aside. Sprinkle a little more flour. And now, with your hands, you sort of shape the flatbreads as round as you can get them. And then with the rolling pin, roll them out, about 5 inches in diameter. Okay, now I have a greased half sheet pan here. You could use a cookie sheet or a brownie pan, whatever you have. And I just lay them right there on the grease sheet pan. So I'm just going to roll the rest of these out, and then I'm going to cover them with a clean kitchen towel and let them rise for 2 hours at room temperature. All right, now we have our potato flatbreads that have risen for 2 hours at room temperature, and they're ready to go in. These are going to cook at 450 for 10 to 13 minutes, depending on how hot your oven is. Okay, here we have our potato flatbreads, nice and golden brown. These will keep for about a week in the refrigerator. We keep them at room temperature in a covered plastic container. At room temperature, they'll last about 3 or 4 days. Texture is better when they're at room temperature. And there you have it, potato flatbreads.